Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everyone joining this fireside chat across the globe. This is Manish. I'm back with yet another very interesting topic for the conversation today. Today's chat is around leveraging data in PLM from a sustainability point of view. Very interesting subject. And for this chat, we have a very, very special guest, a very close friend of mine with us, Aarati Marathe. Aarti, welcome to this chat.
Hi, Manish. Good evening, good morning, and very warm welcome to all who is viewing this. First of all, thank you, Manish, for inviting me to talk on such an interesting topic because data is very close to me, and I am working in PLM domain from last 12 years. So this would be a very interesting conversation, I guess. This would be a very
Absolutely.
interesting conversation.
Absolutely. Pleasure, Aarti. So just quickly introducing Aarti for all the viewers, is an IT industry veteran, over 24, 25 years of experience across various domains and various technologies. Aarti for over last decade has been specializing in data space, working on data science, data analytics, data migration, and all those variety of data related projects and programs. Aarti is currently associated with EQ Technology over last almost 12 years, Aarti now.
Yes.
And she is leading various development projects at EQ today. Um, Outside of the work, Aarti personally is a very avid reader. She likes to read stories for or narrate stories for the young generation, and she runs an active channel in social media which has got number of viewers. Aarti is also an athlete in nature, and she's been running kilometers after kilometers and miles after miles over years. So Aarti, welcome to this chat, and looking forward for an exciting conversation together.
Thank you so much, Manish.
Yeah. So, Aarti, to lay the foundation and to start with it, maybe we can go back to a little bit of basics and start from there. And we have chosen PLM as a specific domain for the conversation, primarily because the employer that you work with today specializes in data as a service platform, and PLM is one of the consumer industry that you operate into over years. So we thought this could be a very good reference point for us to have a discussion around sustainability for data in PLM as a life cycle, right? So maybe would like to start with listening to some of the advancement that's been happening in PLM over years, more from a technology standpoint, and as well as how data has started becoming important in the whole of the PLM as a life cycle. Would you want to start with that, Aarti?
Yes, why not? So, maybe most of you know what is PLM, but I just want to elaborate one more time. PLM is product lifecycle management. So PLM is used in almost all the industries. So, in simple words, I would say a product produced by human efforts, which is then offered to market to satisfy human needs.
Yeah.
So, right from our food and beverages, the tea which we have, the breakfast, the car we drive, the logistics, in every section of life or in day-to-day life, we use product lifecycle management.
Yeah.
Product lifecycle management, as you rightly said, Manish, is first about data, then about the people, then processes, and then the business systems. And as we just saw that, in day-to-day need, right from we wake up till we go back to bed, uh, everything is about product lifecycle management. So everything is about data, the people involved in it. So the whole PLM process is really complex, and it generates humongous amount of data,
Yeah.
uh, which need to be managed again by people, by processes, and so on. So I would broadly categorize PLM into two things. One is about the actual process which people do, human beings do, and over this whole process, the data gets generated. And to manage that data, we need software systems so
Absolutely.
that the process becomes easier, it becomes cost effective, and here comes our sustainability because the data is really huge.
Yeah, yeah. And how have you seen the whole technology advancement in product life cycle? Both in terms of using technology to develop these enterprise applications for our clients or for the users, but
Mhm.
also using technology to make it more effective and more sustainable in nature. We're still not touching the environment aspect, but I think it's more. Let's use this word as sustainability as general sustainable businesses, and then talk in that context, and we'll go over to the environment aspect as well.
Sure, sure. So, as we know, aerospace, aeronautical, firefighters, government industries, everyone is using. And I think right from we started using some machines, PLM exists. It was just in mind earlier, but
Yeah,
now, if we just say from 1980s, CAD systems came into
yeah,
picture. We generate huge drawings, and in 1980s probably we were so young that we didn't even know computers exist that time, but those used to take the drawings used to take a lot of space.
yeah.
Okay, so that's where the market needed PLM as a software system. So it existed in 2000, when we were like passed out from engineering, and
Yeah.
the main interest was boosting productivity and improving collaboration between all the
Yeah,
entities which are involved.
yeah,
So Siemens, PTC, Oracle, SAP, Dassault system, all these systems are using PLM software system from those number of years, I would say.
sure. Now, and I'm sure as the industry matured, you have started adopting the use of various newer technologies, right?
Mhm.
Potentially the so-called AI/ML has started coming to play,
Yes, yes.
at your support during the life cycle advancement of the product. And there is also an increased awareness of the data that exists across the life cycle. There are now systems who capture this data at various stages of life cycle. Now you have mechanisms to bring this data on a platter together, and then to start to build the intelligence by correlating data across life cycle. Build some knowledgeable inferences so that the stakeholders can take very informed decisions. That's probably is what how we all have seen the industry growing in use of data, and that's the place where your data lakes came in play, and you started to build those intelligence, right? Now,
Yes.
so this all is the effective efficiency and effectiveness of the business life cycle,
Mm,
Arti. But
mm,
now when it comes to really the environmental aspects, the carbon footprint that these applications generate over the period, these newer technologies tend to be very heavy in nature. They tend to consume a lot more energy compared to other or prior technologies that we've had.
mm,
With large volume of data being now collected and tracked, obviously you also have started to bring a very heavy data sets with you, which also is the contributor to the larger energy consumption. So by and large, do you see as a going in position, we say, with advancement in technology and intent of collecting large set of data, has started to affect the carbon footprint of those business processes through applications as well? So if you say yes from there, what are those different interventions, Arti, you see, where we need to start working to work towards improving these technology adoption, use of data, and so on and so forth? So how do you see those interventions for sustainability in this space, Arti?
yeah. So Manish, as you rightly said, so it's along with sustainability, I guess the social awareness of environment and the governance policies
Hmm.
need to be adapted by all the industries. I am specifically talking about PLM industry because if we just take example of automobile industry, where every company needs to build so many cars,
Hmm.
in a month, they have target. Of course that target is for production and cost and profit, because that's why the organizations run and execute the different things, right?
Yeah.
But when we just say one car is built, so much environmental uh, effect of building that one car is I would say going to affect the whole environment.
Yeah.
So as we all know that in 2015 Paris Agreement, they have decided that the carbon footprint need to be reduced uh, up to 2050, and every 10 years they are targeting. So not just other industries or automobile industries, but overall PLM industries and their customers are getting aware of the 17 sustainability goals.
Yeah.
And when, as we know now, EV, electric vehicles, if we just take automobile industries, is getting popular, right? Two-wheeler, four-wheelers. So basically, choosing the correct raw material, choosing the correct processes,
Yeah.
uh, reusage of different parts is one aspect of PLM where the PLM system comes into picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But now, when I say that there is CAD CAM, there is a drawing system. When a person is designing a data, there is a design system.
Yeah.
When the manufacturing, there is a manufacturing system, and these all system communicate with each other. So PLM software systems, when they come into picture, they also need to see, are they CPU intensive?
Yeah.
Are they generating carbon footprint? Are they really using low code, no code, green code? Uh, so basically, so the raw material usage and energy during the production
Yeah.
from the PLM systems, and reducing carbon footprint from the software systems. So basically, intense CPU and processing activities wisely, gauging the usage of cloud computing, because as we see the PLM software systems are getting evolved, so is the cloud computing, and that's the current need, right? So gauging the right software, gauging the right process,
Yeah.
and using the correct product,
Yeah.
so that we can reduce carbon footprint, but at the same time, um, I would say there is a direct effect on cost effectivity, because finally, when you're selling any of the products, the customers who want to buy it, of course, they first are going to check the price. So I think, Manish, we have discussed this before also in so many roundtable and other things, that you need to have a proper golden way,
Yeah.
because we can't go away from softwares or automotive things, but at the same time, how can we achieve the correct balance so
Yeah.
that we can achieve sustainability?
Oh, very, very well said, Aarti. I think, the aspects that you're pointing towards is one dimension is when it comes to these interventions towards sustainability. One dimension you said is all your supplies in terms of, in a PLM world, it could be raw materials, but in a software world is the data and the system that is, from where you source the whole, upstream processes, as we call it as, right?
Hmm.
Is one dimension to look at. Second dimension to look at is the whole processes, the core processes, which builds those intelligence, which performs those automated actions through use of technology, is your core engine. And the downstream interventions is what needs to be looked at as an end-to-end chain from a sustainability standpoint. I think that's where you're pointing towards right design, right raw material, right output, and over and above this, the whole right monitoring of these resources from the footprint standpoint, right? This one area is what you're highlighting as the strategy. But
Hmm.
very important point that you are bringing up is more than often the stakeholders are always in a dilemma of, you are existing for a business for running money, revenue, and margin, but at the same time you also have these targets of achieving sustainability goals, and you wanted to make it more carbon efficient, green operations. These are two extremes of the world. Somewhere
Hmm.
you have to achieve the balance. Can you go away from revenue targets? You cannot.
Yeah.
In advent of doing everything green, you probably cannot. Can you do only green and don't go, don't generate revenue? Probably you cannot, and you can't only generate revenue. So I think it's a fine balance that you are trying to promote, saying, as a stakeholder, you should really achieve the right balance between these various aspects of running your businesses, choosing the right technology, choosing the right product and processes, while be aware of the footprint, monitor them on a regular basis, and that's what you're kind of arriving at, if I have
Yes,
correctly
yes,
narrated,
that's where
Aarti.
exactly. And we are going to touch many other points when we are going there. So we will talk mostly about data now,
Yeah.
like what can be done.
Yeah, no, I think we can go over there, Aarti. It's a good point to segue, or good stage to segue into that. Fortunately, you are associated with a company at the moment which has got a data as a service platform, and essentially, I'm sure a lot more sustainability considerations have also been deliberated and debated.
Yes.
And with your experience, we may want to take that as a reference point, or whichever experiences that you want to take as a reference point. But maybe worthwhile to hear from you how this strategy has been adopted with data in consideration in various scenarios for sustainability, I think.
Yes. So first of all, let's begin with, yeah, we talked about part reusage. We talked about reusing the processes. We also
Yeah.
talked about software systems. But still, the first point we discussed about, Manish, is data,
Yeah.
right? In this whole process, so much data is generated, and we hear about chat GPT, we hear about machine learning algorithms, we hear about so many different things that they can be used.
Yeah.
But first of all, I think uh, in day-to-day life, the stakeholders, people who are using these systems, people who are decision makers, or people who are making policies, they need to see the data in a right format.
Yeah. Absolutely.
KPIs, dashboards, reporting solutions, where you can see the way you see whether your production is on time or not. How many, again, I go back to car example that, I need to create 10 cars, but whether I am on target, I have just finished 4 cars. Along with that, if there is a dashboard or if there is a knowledge indicator which talks about, in this process, this is the carbon footprint you are generating. Um, are you really achieving sustainability or not? Um, what is the energy consumption happening?
Yeah.
If we can kind of come up with these dashboards or reports on day-to-day basis, I guess that would really help them to take decisions of what can be changed by people in the processes.
Yeah. Sure. And do you do them, Aarti, today? Do you, in your day-to-day work, have you implemented some of these best practices of, measuring carbon footprint through various forms?
Yes, yes, we have done that. So it's, so basically, I work with EQ Technologic. We are solution partner to Siemens, and Siemens has a PLM design system called Team Center. Okay, along with Team Center, we connect to so many different systems who are involved in this whole PLM process, integration, migration, and data analytics, etc.
Mhm.
So we are coming up with different solutions which involve digital thread.
Mhm.
Okay, and digital thread environment uh, is really used to identify the sustainability practices throughout the PLM process,
Sure.
throughout the product life cycle. Okay,
Mhm.
also with this, we check innovations, but we also see whether we are compliant or not. So all these things help, uh, not just to achieve good productivity, but also the environment friendly products is what
Yeah.
I would say.
Correct.
uh, so uh, since you asked me whether EQ plays, so I would say EQ really plays a pivotal role, in sustainable product development. So we can go there, but before that, I would really like to talk about data.
Sure.
Um, as we said that we can't go away with the processes, or we can't go away with productivity
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
we are disturbing the nature. But as we all know, literally, from the, as we say that from waking up till we go to bed, we ourselves are contributor to the data generation,
Yeah.
and we really can't go away with data. It's huge, it's humongous. And when we want to find out analytics or KPIs or all these things, we need to use engines which are faster.
Yeah.
Right. So again, as you said, fine balance. So how to find a fine balance? So I feel digital thread, then data as using data as a service are few of the good sustainable practices which we definitely use in EQ.
Now, let's probably maybe we can delve a slightly in deeper on some of the areas, and I'm keen to understand those on our viewers' behalf. Aarti is now one. Let's take the example or the stage of you collecting data across various stages. Whether it's upstream, downstream, or during the life cycle as well. Um, there do you use some of the APM tools type of ecosystem to collect the data, or you've got a connectors and independent systems that kind of build the data? What's the mechanism to pull the data together?
Okay, so it's a very interesting question, and I really like this, Manish. So basically, we have flagship product platform where we use data as a service, and we provide very simple solutions to complex data
Sure,
problems.
sure.
When you ask me about how do we connect to data, sorry, systems. So let's just go back to few of the, I won't take the customer names directly, but I was telling you about it when we had an initial discussion about it, that there are legacy systems,
Yeah,
Manish, which contain lot of PLM data and they are still live.
yeah,
Uh, Now, one of the goal all the companies are achieving is how can we reduce the systems
sure.
um, to have an efficient working, but at the same time, if those systems are having useless data, then searching the data
Yeah,
to come up with the analytics or to create dashboards, it itself becomes an intensive activity.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So
True.
if the data is useless, if the data is not used at all, how can we, not use it? How can we reduce the search itself?
Yeah,
Is one of the things.
yeah,
Um, so I guess I'm talking lot about systems data, but then we have connectors.
yeah.
As I told you, those connectors are read and write connectors. Okay, and they are standard. People don't
Sure.
need to do any customizations. You just need to tell which system it is, and we have those connectors which can read the data and which also can write to another system, or if required to the same system. Then we have this data as a service, or we have 6 different offerings.
Sure.
I would say we have put in umbrella under analytics and integration suite, um, where these systems talk to each other. Our systems also talk to each other at the same time. They can talk to PLM systems, but the speciality of EQ is we don't maintain any kind of data warehouse,
Mm.
because see, that is one more iteration and then
Yeah,
one
yeah.
more search, or
Sure.
that actually is not really a sustainable product development.
Yeah.
And we have delivered the integration or migration solutions across so many systems just over the weekend by migrating the whole data, and still not by using data warehouses.
Interesting. Very interesting, Arti. So just one quick question around this. Regards to measuring the carbon footprint at this specific connector level, or at the stage where you integrate with some of the external systems. Do you have you built some kind of a enrichment utilities that will give you carbon footprint, or kind of measure the data debt itself and do the inferences around sustainable other around the carbon contribution? So how have you implemented at the moment, or what's the strategy look like?
Yes. So let me begin with, so if you just see the data migration process, right, it
Mm,
involves ETL, extraction, transform, and load.
mm,
But even before that, there is one more phase which is called data profiling.
yeah,
Okay, if you involve data profiling in this whole data migration or integration process, then you are actually helping the sustainable data or product development.
yeah,
How? So, as I said, there would be legacy systems which people either want to retire and just use the latest enterprise systems which are offering way lot of easier solutions to a
Yeah.
complex problem to solve,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So start with the data first is what I would say,
Mm.
where you are going to find useless data, the data which is not needed, data duplication, uh,
Mm.
historical data, because I am working on the data from last whatever is available for 10 years, but this legacy system contain data for last 60, 70, 80, maybe 100 years, because there can be some mainframe systems. So do we really need that kind of a
Sure.
data,
Mm.
right? So finding data duplication, finding data quality issues, uh, whether data is really needed. Finding the historical data is one way to look at it. Once that is done, you can generate the different reports on it. And
Sure.
in between, you can have data inferences, as you said, by using correct machine learning or augmented data analytics. Okay, once you get these reports, you are actually at the right position of minimalizing your data to be migrated to
Yeah.
enterprise
Yeah.
systems,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
So once that is done, the data chunk is small. So basically, the data profiler, augmented data analytics, and dashboards are helping you to decide your migration and integration strategies,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
The right migration strategy is so there are a lot of migration strategies which is not a forum topic today, but if you have less data which is functioning, which needs to be used, you can just migrate it over the weekend,
Mm.
because again we are talking about sustainable product development. So less cpu and database intensive activities,
Sure.
the activities which are scheduled overnight or over the weekend, where less processing is happening even on the source system side.
Mm.
Now, once the data is completely migrated, slowly you can decommission the old systems, and then you're ready uh, with your current data. But now, of course, these PLM systems are transactional systems. So, one more thing, what can be done to continuously governance or check a tab on carbon footprint or sustainability, um, we can cache the data. Again, the caching and crawling can happen overnight or over
Sure.
week, where you don't need to connect to that enterprise system also
Yeah. Yeah.
every day or every hour, and you have your data, and then you can have analytics or whatever observation.
Processing that you want to create on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. I think you're covering aspects like when do you really schedule some of your batches, some of your processes. Other aspects like how do you, make your the whole volume of data, the whole data debt is reduced to make it more cleaner, leaner, and efficient monitoring. You're talking about some of the development methodologies, like what portions of the data or the processes you can cache them to avoid the continuous transaction, and over and above that some kind of a monitoring and governance that you keep in mind for really measuring and monitoring the whole aspects. I think very interesting and holistic view towards how you can approach the product development more from a green aspect standpoint are the very useful. So thank you. There is a lot to talk, there is a lot to deliberate around this, and we can go on and go on, but I still I'm really interested to take one more question, if that's okay. We deal with our newer generation day in day out, right? We're getting newer teams coming up in the industry. They're entering for the first time. We call them Gen Z. Millennials have now become young, and now rather they've become adults, and now you've got Gen Z as well. So for this whole new generation, Aarti, what's your advice for sustainable development?
Very interesting question. So Manish, along with whatever you have introduced me to, I also started going on jungle trips
Hmm.
uh, from 2008,
Sure.
and I'm associated with multiple groups who actually work on nature conservation and sustainability in our day-to-day life.
Sure.
One thing I have learned during all these things is being minimalist. Okay. So
Yeah.
how, I mean, I am not a great person to advise, but the way we do that, if lights are not required in that particular room, we just, switch them off. That is one of the way to conserve the nature. I think green thinking in product development is what thing I would like to point out. Unless we first start green thinking, that is the need of the time now, we are not going to have green design or developments, or even in the conceptual or what would you say, inception level.
Yeah.
That is the first thing, that whenever you are developing any code, whenever you are thinking about coming up with any new system, how am I balancing out the things? Again, we are talking about fine balance because we need to balance out everything. So green thinking, start with green thinking, that would lead to a green design, and then a finally sustainable product development. At the same time, yes, you can use machine learning and Python like systems because that is really the need of the time. But how you can automate, standardize, or even testing, right? Instead of manual testing, like just touching this point before we leave, can we automate the testing? Can we automate many of the design systems? So just to give you one example, we are in EQ coming up with design systems where we are developing different widgets or components which can be used across products. So this doesn't just it is sustainable product development because less human efforts are required. So finally, if you calculate it, it leads to less carbon footprint, right?
Yeah.
So reusable, green code, low code, no code, it depends whether your company is really using. I think those are the environmental friendly practices.
Oh, absolutely. I think the green mindset is one of the manifesto element that we've got at EcoITCon as well. But you're right. I think the newer generation that's ready to come into the industry now, the fresh blood who's ready now to start contributing to the industry, a very vibrant community. If they are being made aware of this whole green mindset and think and look at the applications and software development in a greener way, will make a lot of difference to our environmental contribution as an industry as well. Very well detailed, Aarati. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was very interesting having this conversation with you, and I'm sure our viewers have taken a lot of takeaways from this session. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Manish. Once
Thank
again,
you.
and I thank EcoITCon for this.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.